Wird noch was gesungen?
Nana Shastra Vicharamaya Nipuno Sadharma Samsapako Lokana Vitakarino Tribhuvane Namyo Saranyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Namge Namakariko Vande Rupa Sanatana Yago Shri Jiva Gopalako. Ich erweise meine achtungsvolle Ehrbietung gesetzt Goswami, Shirupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Shiva Goswami, Gopalabhata Goswami, sehr sorgsam alle offenbarten Schriften durchforschen mit dem Ziel, ewige religiöse Grundsätze zum Wohl aller Menschen festzulegen. Sie werden daher in allen drei Welten geehrt und sie sind es wert, dass man bei ihnen Zuflucht sucht, denn sie sind in der Gemütsstimmung der Gopis vertieft und in transzendentalen liebevollen Dienst Radhas und Krishna tätig. 6 Goswamis und Vrindavan ki Jai.
Further consideration of devotional principles. In the same Narada Pancharatra, there is another expression of submission, wherein the devotee says, "My dear Lord, O lotus-eyed one, when will that day come, when on the bank of the Yamuna I shall become just like a madman and continue to chant your holy name, while incessant tears flow from my eyes." This is another perceptual stage. Lord Chaitanya also desired that a moment will appear unto me as 12 years of time, and the whole world will appear to me as vacant on account of not seeing you, my dear Lord. One should feelingly pray and become eager to render his particular type of service to the Lord. This is the teaching of all great devotees, especially Lord Chaitanya. In other words, one should learn how to cry for the Lord. One should learn this small technique, and he should be very eager and actually cry to become engaged in some particular type of service. This is called laulyam. And such tears are the price for the highest perfection. If one develops this laulyam, or excessive eagerness, for meeting and service the Lord in a particular way, that is the price to enter in the kingdom of God. Otherwise, there is no material calculation for the value of the ticket by which one can enter the kingdom of God. The only price for such entrance is this laulyam lalasamayi, or desire and great eagerness. Nectar of devotion ki Jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihare Prem Jagasi Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasura Bhaktavinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamkunda Radha Kumiran Gijay Vrindavandam Gijay Mathuradam Gijay Ritam Gijay Gijay Yamuramai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhagwatam ki jai, Aura Pramanadhi. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to Sri Bhagwatam. All glories to Sri Bhagwatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So, reading from the Srimad Bhagwatam, first canto, second chapter, verse 12. And the title of the covered chapter is, I don't know, anybody else? I can't see it here. Chapter, sorry. One, two. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we chant and we start with Sanskrit. Tat Shadadana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Muktaya Pashanti Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shuta Krihitaya Tat Shadadana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashanti Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shuta Krihitaya. We're looking at the forms.
Which verse, Maharaj?
Which verse?
1 to 12.
1 to 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't, sorry. I have to apologize for this. This needs to be prepared. It cannot just be. And it was not prepared, so we are not ready for this.
I'm also surprised.
Yes, sorry. So those secretary who come and accompany Maharaj need to tell us what's the verse is going to do. We need to write it down, all these things. If there is no communication, we don't know. We are not prepared. Sorry for that.
He's not traveling with me normally. It's just that every now and then, so he's not so prepared to prepare things. No? Okay, anyway, it's okay?
Yes, it's just that we are not prepared to repeat it. That's all.
Yeah, but normally devotees all have their phones, database on.
Yeah, but they are not so quick in preparing the verse. I guess they didn't even hear what place you were in.
Yes, Srimad Bhagwatam, first canto, second chapter, verse 12.
First canto, second chapter, verse 12. Everybody has?
Yeah.
Yes, Mother.
Ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, then now you can sing it.
Chant.
So sing, say the verse. Yes. Sanskrit verse.
Tashraddha munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya.
Tashraddhana munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Yatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya.
Gritaya.
Tachradadhana munayo.
Tashradhana munayo.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Bhaktya sruta grihitaya.
Bhaktya sruta grihitaya. Ladies?
Tachradhana munayo.
Tachradhana munayo.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Bhaktya sruta grihitaya.
Bhaktya sruta grihitaya. Tidam.
Tachradadhana munayo.
Tashradhana munayo.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Bhaktya shuta grihataya.
Bhaktya sruta grihitaya.
Tachradhana munayo.
Tashradhana munayo.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Jnana vairagya yuktaya.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Pashyanti atmani chatmanam.
Bhaktya shuta grihitaya.
Bhaktya sruta grihitaya. Tat. That. Saradhana. Seriously inquisitive. Munaya. Sages. Jnana. Knowledge. Vairagya. Detachment. Yuktaya. Well equipped with. Bhajanti. Seek. Atmani. Within himself. And. Acha. Atmanam. The Paramatma. Bhaktya. In devotional service. Shuta. The Vedas. Grihitaya. Well received. Translation. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes the absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. The absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Lord Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead, who is the full-fledged absolute truth. Brahman is his transcendental bodily effulgence, and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman, or Paramatma, realization of the absolute truth, is but a partial realization. There are four different types of human beings: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other three are transcendental. The first-class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. The second-class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the Absolute Truth, Absolute Person. And the third-class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the Absolute Person. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, the Supreme Person is realized by devotional service, which is backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. We have already discussed the point that devotional service is followed by knowledge and detachment from material association. As Brahman and Paramatma realization are imperfect realizations of the Absolute Truth, So the means of realizing Brahman and Paramatma, i.e., the paths of jnana and yoga, are also imperfect means of realizing the absolute truth. Devotional service, which is based on the foreground of full knowledge combined with detachment from material association, and which is fixed by the oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the absolute truth. Devotional service is not, therefore, meant for the less intelligent class of transcendentalists. There are three classes of devotees, namely first, second, and third class. The third class devotee, or the neophytes, who have no knowledge and are not detached from material association, but who are simply attracted by the preliminary process of worshipping the deity in the temple, are called material devotees. Material devotees are more attached to material benefit than transcendental profit. Therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service. Therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service to the second-class devotional position. In the second-class position, the devotee can see four principles in the devotional line, namely the personality of Godhead, his devotees, the ignorant, and the envious. One has to raise himself at least to the stage of second-class devotee, and thus become eligible to know the absolute truth. A third-class devotee, therefore, has to receive the instructions of devotional service from the authoritative sources of Bhagwatam. The number one Bhagavata is the established personality of devotee, and the other Bhagwatam is a message of Godhead. A third-class devotee therefore has to go to the personality of devotee in order to learn the instructions of devotional service. Such a personality of devotee is not a professional man who earns his livelihood by the business of Bhagwatam. Such a devotee must be a representative of Shukadeva Goswami, like Sutta Goswami, and must preach the cult of devotional service for the all-around benefit of all people. A neophyte devotee has very little taste for hearing from the authorities. Such a neophyte devotee makes a show of hearing from the professional man to satisfy his senses. This sort of hearing and chanting has spoiled the whole thing. So one should be very careful about the faulty process. The holy messages of Godhead, as included in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Srimad Bhagwatam, are undoubtedly transcendental subjects. But even though they are so, such transcendental matters are not to be received from the professional man, who spoils them as the serpent spoils milk simply by the touch of his tongue. A sincere devotee must therefore be prepared to hear the Vedic literature, like the Upanishads, Vedanta, and other literatures left by the previous authorities or Goswamis, for the benefit of his progress. Without hearing such literatures, one cannot make actual progress. And without hearing and following the instructions, the show of devotional service becomes worthless and therefore a sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. Unless, therefore, devotional service is established on the principle of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, or Pancharatra authorities, the make show of devotional service should at once be rejected. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literatures, one can see the all-pervading, localized aspect of the personality of Godhead within his own self constantly. This is called Samadhi. So we repeat the verse again. Tad sharadana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashanti atmani chatmanam bhaktya shuddha grihitaya. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped. The serious inquisitive student or sage, well equipped, whose knowledge and detachment realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So we're hearing from the Srimad Bhagwatam. And this verse, as well as the whole chapter. This whole chapter is dealing with devotional service. How to initiate devotional, start devotional service, and how one goes progressing slowly. Prabhupada actually said that the process of devotional service is a gradual process. We shouldn't jump unnecessarily, artificially. Like Prabhupada mentions in the purport here, we should avoid those devotees who just making a show of devotional service, of being situated on topmost platforms. I should be very careful. And that's why the verse actually says here, one should be well equipped with knowledge. One should have heard properly from the proper source. And this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. One has to actually connect oneself to an authorized succession of spiritual masters or pure devotees of the Lord. This is the parampara system. Uninterrupted succession over thousands of years. Actually, we have all the names of the members of the Guru Parampara. And Prabhupada gave the example, like when you have an electric installation, if everything is connected properly by an expert, and in the end we can benefit so much from the electricity, like light and hold, cold and heat, and so many things. We can cook with electricity. We can amplify the sound properly so everyone can hear. But it's only possible when the connection is properly done. Just like when Srila Prabhupada came. Prabhupada was a first-class example. When Prabhupada came to America in the beginning, he mentioned the Bhagavad Gita in the introduction. He says that once a lady in New York asked me to recommend her a Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada mentioned that I had seen so many Bhagavad Gitas translation into English. And none of the Bhagavad Gitas I saw were actually Bhagavad Gita. That's why Prabhupada gave his Bhagavad Gita the name, the title, As It Is. And we can see the result. In fact, I have personal experience with this. I started reading Bhagavad Gitas before I became a devotee. And I couldn't really figure out what was going on there. But then I came in touch with devotees, and Bhagavad Gita became completely, common sense. Completely logical. And why is this? Because Prabhupada actually gave us Bhagavad Gita as it is, as he had heard it from his own spiritual master. This is a secret of success. So when Prabhupada came and presented his Bhagavad Gita, so many persons started taking it very seriously. And they actually surrendered, actually became devotees. This is actually this was actually Prabhupada's mystic power. Normally when saintly persons are there, or yogis, or mystics appear, everyone is waiting for some mystic power, some miracle. How do you say miracle? And when Prabhupada was asked once about his miracle, he said, "This is my miracle," and he showed the devotees. that he transferred, and then he changed the mentality of these actually most fallen. Not really so much fallen, because actually in the 60s, the hippie movement was not really interested drug movement, like alcoholics or something like that. But at that time, something started manifesting. What Prabhupada also commented in his, Prabhupada published Back to Godhead before he came to the West. Very simple. And so his first Back to Godhead always contained an article about events that were happening in the world. And there was one article once that Prabhupada had heard that in the European countries, America also, advanced countries, materialistic countries, there was a phenomenon that there were many young people who were searching for deeper meaning in life and rejecting the values and the traditions of their own families, like that. And then in the article, it was very interesting. Prabhupada mentioned even, you could see Prabhupada actually studied the subjects very, very, very nicely, because he even started mentioning the titles they have been given. And he even mentioned the German word Halbstark. Die Halbstarken. This is what the expression was in the beginning in Germany. Die Halbstarken. And then the Teddy Boys in England and others, I don't remember anymore these terms. But anyway, so Prabhupada commented on this. He said that actually now it's the duty of the leaders to actually help them to understand the deeper meaning in life. That's a responsibility, the real responsibility of the leaders, to guide their dependents, to help them to come to some real meaning in life, or deeper meaning in life. Anyway, so Prabhupada came, and because there was this group that became attracted to Srila Prabhupada. They were very impressed when they met Prabhupada, just seeing him, hearing him, singing. And when they went to visit him in his apartment, they were surprised how simple Prabhupada was living. He was always sitting on the floor. He was using he had a desk of one of these metal boxes they use in India, as a desk. And in the back you could see his clothes. He had washed his clothes. It was drying his clothes. And he was inviting everybody. Not only that, he started giving them also prasad. It said in the Lamita, it's mentioned that there was one devotee who Prabhupada had rented that place in close to 2nd Avenue in New York. And the one boy came up, went up the stairs, but I know if anybody has been there. Any of you have been? You have been in New York in the First Temple? No, Meshlaskin. It's a shop. It was a shop, and was very, narrow. Very narrow, and very long. And there was also, there is still, because now everybody's got it back again. There was a door, bathroom, right there. Anyway, so, and then, but you could also go, when you went on the street, you could go past a passage along the temple, on the side of the temple, and get to a little yard. And there was a quelle,
The source.
Ja, non quelle, nennt sich das noch, wenn da so Wasser ist?
Springbrunnen.
Springbrunnen, es war ein Springbrunnen. Ne? Und dann ging man, and then one had to go up the stairs, like in America, where people live, the apartment blocks, they always have this
Fire escape.
Yeah, fire escapes. So, and one had to go up, fire escape to the first floor, and there was Prabhupada's door. Anyway, so the boy went up, and he had not he had not announced that he would come or anything. Prabhupada opened the door and he let him in. And talking with him, and Prabhupada served him prasad also. His typical diet, sabji, khichdi or dal, rice, and chapatis. Anyway, so when the boy started eating that prasad, he liked it so much, he told the others, wow, he's not only chanting nicely and everything, but he's also a very good cook. This I heard once. Prabhupada is a good cook, I heard once, in a very, very special condition. We were part of a group of devotees who were preaching in the communist countries, underground. We even started with wigs, and then we just let our hair grow. It was too ridiculous with wigs. Anyway, so at that time I was with Nikhilananda. We were always going to Poland and then come up to Finland to collect and go back to Poland, because it was very expensive to preach in these countries. You had to pay for every day. You had to pay something, a quarter, right? Quarter. Now, anyway, so one time we made friends with one Indian man. He had a little apartment there, and he was very into yoga also. And one time we came back from Poland, and we went to his apartment, and he had some other Indian there, and he introduced him to us. No, he introduced us to him. And he looked like kind of yogi kind of person. And sadhu, And then the Indian man told him, these are disciples of Bhaktivedanta Swami. And the man said, oh, Bhaktivedanta, I know Bhaktivedanta Swami. And first we thought, well, let's see, how do you know Prabhupada? Because sometimes people would say they know Prabhupada to make them important, the kind of. And then the man said, yes, I was teaching yoga in the Dr. Mishra Ashram in New York for some time, and he was there. Tell us something more about Prabhupada. He said he was a very good cook. When you read the Lilamrita, there's the story of Prabhupada goes that he was first staying with, after leaving Butler, he was staying with Dr. Mishra in his ashram. And then sometimes Prabhupada had discussions, sometimes pretty heavy discussions with Dr. Mishra. And devotees couldn't figure out what he was talking about because it was in Hindi. And then because he was an impersonalist. So at one point, Prabhupada had to clarify things sometimes, that this is not really what the Shastras say. Anyway, so then Dr. Mishra forbade Prabhupada to speak to his disciples also. So then he told us, well, he was a good cook. I can imagine that Prabhupada continued only cooking and singing. Anyway, so this was interesting. When we went there, so when we heard that, we wanted to know more. We didn't know much more, but it was very inspiring. Because when we're traveling in the communist countries, we traveling there for weeks, without going to any temple. We just went to some place to collect and then go back to those countries. And there, and everything there was also top secret. We couldn't show anything, say anything. Only in very close circles. We couldn't chant loud. We had to always chant very softly. No heavy metal kirtans. Anyway, so how did I get there? How did I get there? Oh, yes. Prabhupada was introducing, presenting prasad to his first followers, and then Prabhupada introduced a love feast. In the hippie area in the 60s, the hippies were always speaking about love and love. So they started the love feast. Anyway, there's a video. There's a video also where there's a reporter with a cameraman, and they visit Prabhupada, surrounded by his disciples, taking prasad. They all long hair, dirty somehow. Anyway, and some are also living on the floor, like laying on the floor, dirty plates around there. They had eaten already. And then the reporter was putting questions before Srila Prabhupada. At one point, Prabhupada said, ask them, they're very intelligent, inconceivable. Laying on the floor. But Prabhupada had a different vision. He saw them as very intelligent. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, it says about 1,000 men, maybe one person, is sufficiently interesting. So Prabhupada was fanning, these, how do you say these? Sparks of devotional service in their hearts. It's fanning, and then after, actually what it was said later on, that Hare Krishna was the religion of the hippies. I remember when Prabhupada came to Hamburg in 1974, Shivananda, he brought a professor to Srila from the university. And he was an Indologist. How do you say Indologist? Yeah, Indologist? Yeah, Sanskrit and these kind of things. And this guy was very young. So they brought him to the apartment of Srila Prabhupada. And at one point, the professor said, my impression of the Hare Krishna movement, it's a hippie movement. And then, as a result of this, Prabhupada wrote a letter to Brahmananda in New York. And he told them, well, I had a conversation with the professor, and he got the impression that we are a hippie movement. And Prabhupada wrote a letter, as I mentioned, a letter to Brahmananda. And in the letter he said, now we have to start changing this image. But because Prabhupada wanted to reach the educated persons, the learned persons, the leaders. Anyway, but in the meantime, so many devotees joined. When they had the first Ratha Yatra in San Francisco, there's photos of that. There's thousands of hippies following the Ratha Yatra festival. That not in the beginning when Shama Sundar was making the first deities, the first Ratha Yatra was not a cart like we know them nowadays. It was just a lorry. With a plaque, there was nothing on the back. And there they had to put the juggernauts and others. And Shama Sundar was driving, accompanied by his dog. That's how it all started. Very simple. But the result was, incredible. Under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, devotees became more and more Krishna conscious. Like it's mentioned here in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada mentioned 3 grades, levels of devotees. Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari. Prabhupada mentioned that Kanishta Adhikari is known as materialistic devotee. Don't remember the term. Anyway, so Prabhupada is saying here that in order for that person to become purified, he has to learn how to regulate himself. And he mentions normally it is that they start worshipping. Worship is meant for that. Because when you worship, you're more and more absorbed. There's so many principles, so many things to consider. You have to get up early, you have to chant learn the mantras and all that. And the more intense your activity in devotional service, the more you become purified. You become more and more, your heart becomes more and more purified. But in that condition, because the Kanishta Adhikaris don't have much discrimination. They know very much how to discriminate. See the difference between devotees and non-devotees, but not between what is demonic and what is not like that. And they have no knowledge, so they might confuse people. Anyway. And then Madhyam Arika. The Madhya actually means in the middle. Middle. That means between the advanced devotee and the neophyte. Madhyam Arika. I remember Prabhupada mentioned once that in order to preach, one has to be Madhyam Arika. To be able to present Krishna consciousness properly, actually one has to be on this second level. Prabhupada mentioned that on that platform, Madhyam Adhikari, there are four things that one has to know. One has to know what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what are the innocent, what the demonic, what is the fourth thing?
And advanced.
Huh?
Yeah,
the advanced, of course. And then Uttama Adhikari, Uttama, on the top of the platform, pure devotee, Padamahamsa, has one characteristic, very, very special characteristic. He feels extremely humble and insignificant. And because of that, he thinks that all the devotees, or everyone, is more qualified than himself. And on the basis of that, doesn't feel qualified to preach. Prabhupada used to say that, sometimes Uttama Adhikari come down to the Madhyam, practice the Madhyam Adhikarism to preach. We can actually see that in Srila Prabhupada also. Prabhupada was living very comfortably in Vrindavan before he came to America. He actually, it says in the diaries, it says Prabhupada was very respected in Vrindavan. There's photos of it. Sometimes when important persons came to Vrindavan, like politicians, something like that, they would introduce them to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada would explain things properly, in the best way. So Prabhupada was actually very comfortable in Vrindavan. Of course, we know that he started writing his books also. I remember that when the first devotees came to Germany, they brought the 3 volumes of the first canto, and they brought this little booklet, Easy Journey to Other Planets. And they were very simple. Especially this Easy Journey to Other Planets was just kind of very simple paper, no illustration, nothing. Anyway, so and the Bhagwatam, the first canto, the 3 volumes, and there were in those cantos there were mistakes also. Sometimes the letters were the other way around. How is that? Yeah. Anyway, so these were the first books that Srila Prabhupada brought. He was convinced that if he followed the instruction of his spiritual master, go to the West, he needed books, because books are the basis, are like the authorities. I said, authoritative. And sometimes Bhagavad says, more books we have, more respect, more increases our image. Anyway, so Srila Prabhupada stayed in Vrindavan for some time, writing his books, his Bhagavatam. And there was no assistant. He had to buy the paper, go to the printer, make sure that everything was done properly, like that. And then, in the end, Prabhupada thought that when he finished his 3rd volume of the Srimad Bhagavatam, now he was ready to go. And we all know the story from the Lilamrita. The difficulties. He went to Srimati Moraji. She actually, the way he had known her was that she had bought the Bhagavatam from him. He had offered the Bhagavatam to her. So he went there and asked her for a ticket, for a passage to America. And what was the first reaction of Srimati Moraji? He said, Swami, you're too old. You're too old to go to America and start something. You might die any minute there. So what then? What happens then? And when Prabhupada felt that she wouldn't give him he started coming and always sitting on the street opposite to the offices of the Skindia company, and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And the person who worked in that office, they became nervous. What is this Swami doing? And then they talked to Srimad Maharaja, that he was coming. They were seeing him every day. They're chanting rounds in front of the office. And then finally she agreed. They gave him the ticket. I was once in Miami. Actually, I had a responsibility there for some time. And I arrived, and the devotee told me that Srimati Maharaja had come to visit me. And she had come, she was very old. She came to the temple in Miami, accompanied by some of her. Later on, they told me that actually Srimati Maharaja not only had the Skindia company with ships, but she had also mines, mines and all kinds of things. She was actually very rich. And anyway, she was traveling in America and also visiting the temples to see Prabhupada's work. That's the result of Prabhupada's preaching. And in this way she came to Miami, but without telling anybody who she was. And then the wife of the temple president in Miami, she treated her so nicely. She invited her to stay overnight at her apartment also. Anyway, so Srimati Maharaji was very pleased with the attitude, the way they had treated her. And she said, you know who I am? I am Srimati Maharaji. Is there anything you need in the temple here? And anyway, so they needed a new floor. They had just got that temple. It was a big church, Mennonite church. They had bought this in Coconut Drive. Anyway, so they needed a new floor. They had already gotten an altar. Somebody had donated an altar, and so she agreed. So when I arrived after that, and there was a disciple of Harikesh there, who he was an architect, and he worked in Mayapur, and he had come to America to talk to some, I feel very important, was an Arabic architect. He was very famous to ask him questions like that. Anyway, so when I arrived, he was sitting there making the design for the floor. And finally they got the floor. Very nice donation. Srimati Maharaja. Anyway, so in the beginning she didn't want to help him, but then, and also at one point, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to her, and he mentioned that it's very difficult here, and I don't get any help from India and all this, and is there a possibility that I can come back on your ship and listen? And she said, no, you have to stay. Now you went, now you have to, do what you were supposed to do. And of course, Prabhupada saw this as an indication from his spiritual master, that he was just repeating the instruction of his spiritual master. Anyway, so let me try anyway. Prabhupada wrote a poem when he came to America, and he mentioned something like, well, if I tell these Americans to follow the 4 principles, they no whiskey, no Las Vegas, no and whatever, all these things, no illicit sex life. And they will say, please go back to your home. And then Prabhupada added to this, he said, so let me try anyway. And this determination of Prabhupada saved us all. If Prabhupada wouldn't come to the West, what would have happened? actually, due to the influence of the Sankirtan movement, due to the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his representatives like Srila Prabhupada, the world has changed. Like for example now, we see so many vegetarians, vegans and all this.
8 million.
Smoking is becoming less and less and all these things. Where does this come from? Actually this is the influence of the Sankirtan movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is influencing the world from a very, deep level. Very deep level. Even shaving has become a fashion.
They say 8 million vegetarians in Germany.
Yeah, it's famous. Germany is famous.
8 million.
Yes, Germany is famous all over the world for vegetarianism. Yes. When I travel outside, sometimes it's mentioned. A certain percentage, it's the kind of percentage of Germans are vegetarians like that. And people are surprised.
10%.
Huh?
10%.
Yeah, 10% of Germans are vegetarian. They are vegetarian.
10%.
Yeah. So let's continue. Aunque we don't see so much, but this movement is working on a constantly, on a very, very deep level, on a spiritual level. And we shouldn't be surprised. That's like you're coming from Russia or from Ukraine. There are certain countries where the Krishna consciousness has erblüht. What is that?
Blossom.
Has blossomed. When you hear in the past when we heard that about these festivals in Ukraine, thousands and thousands of devotees would come. Are you from there?
I'm from Russia.
Oh, Russian.
Maria from Iran.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Welcome.
Sudhira.
Huh? He also. Jai, Hare Krishna. We're going to see you. Yeah. So anyway, and now Germany has become the refuge.
Yeah, actually, just yesterday for class we were talking, and she said to me yesterday, because she was in Ukraine, Krishna picked me out of Ukraine and brought me here for me to understand.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
They're all over.
Yeah.
I'm now coming from Köln. There's so many Ukrainian devotees. Yeah. Sometimes when somebody comes and preaches in Russian, so many devotees are coming. There's so many Ukrainian devotees living. Yeah. On the farm also here.
Also in the surrounding here,
Yeah.
we took care of 400 people.
Yeah. Devotees.
Yeah, it's mixed devotees and a few others, because sometimes it's unavoidable. Families, members, and they're not all devotees.
Yeah, anyway, let's continue. Having faith in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, instruction of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, in the foretelling of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that his holy name will be heard in all his villages, and what is his name?
Towns and villages.
Towns and villages. And how come? He said that the chanting of the holy name will be heard. And that means every devotees, only devotees chant Hare Krishna.
Even in Hohenstein.
Huh?
Even in Hohenstein.
Even here,
In Hohenstein.
nowhere.
Ja, Hohenstein ist hoch durch die Devotees. Das ist die wirkliche Bedeutung von Hohenstein. Die Devotees haben Hohenstein erhoben. Und durch das Krishna-Bewusstsein ist Hohenstein bekannt geworden.
What I found interesting in what you spoke this morning is the fact that, Prabhupada got his instruction from his Guru Maharaj to do what he's doing, because that's what I'm trying also to teach the devotees, that du musst einen Auftrag haben, einen Auftrag bekommen, damit du ermächtigt wirst, etwas zu machen, zu bewirken. Und damit du auch...
You speak German?
Yeah,
No.
sorry.
No.
Yes.
With this, such a words, no.
Maybe you can
So
repeat
I
it.
said, yes. I said to Maharaj, it was interesting to me, one comment Maharaj made was that, first of all, Prabhupada got the instruction from his Guru Maharaj to go in the West and preach. And this is a service that he was given, a duty, an auftrag.
An order.
An order, yes? By the order, taking the order, you become empowered. With the order comes the empowerment together to do what needs to be done. But then Maharaj said he started something, and then this lady told Prabhupada, when Prabhupada wanted to, she said, no, you started something, now you have to continue and keep doing. So Krishna, like the comment of Maharaj, Prabhupada thought Krishna is coming through this lady to tell me, no, you cannot go, you have to stay and continue, you know. So this is, thank you for this comment, because this is how we also, unless we have an order from someone to do something, and then to be reminded to continue and to do it. Even in this Krishna consciousness, we are traveling around, I say always like butterflies. You know, you say, oh, this is nice here, this is nice here, this is nice there, go here, go there, do this and that. But there's no depth in it and no commitment to, and unless there's depth and commitment to the mission of Srila Prabhupada, which comes from someone who is empowering us and someone telling us, please do this and stick to it, continue it. Then even this movement is just like a fashion or something very superficial. But each one of us, we have to become very deep-rooted in this mission for Srila Prabhupada and stick to it, take the order, stick to it, and follow a certain direction. Otherwise, even in Krishna consciousness, after so many years, we will not feel satisfaction because we're doing the thing, we're chanting, we're going to festivals, we're doing so many things. But we never commit ourselves deeply to the cause and make an offering from the heart, so to say, and take the trouble to achieve and become successful, all these things. So I kind of liked what Maharaj said, that Krishna sent this lady to tell you, hey, you have to continue, you stick to that and continue. You started it, now you have to finish it. Thank you very much. So this is for all of us, same. In a small, of course, we are not comparing ourselves to Prabhupada or anything like that, there is no question. But from Prabhupada's example, also we will take inspiration to do what needs to be done and to commit ourselves to the cause of preaching and supporting Prabhupada, our gurus and the authorities, the temple, the ISKCON, all these things, it's chained together. And if we are serious about this and commit ourselves, then at the end we will be happy and satisfied by heart, and Krishna will be happy and satisfied, and we will have achieved something in our life, done something meaningful in our life.
Yeah,
otherwise, we're just a hippie movement, like he said, we're hippie, you know. They have a good time, that's it, you know.
Yeah, actually Prabhupada gave us a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Prabhupada mentioned that when the little child is growing, the boy is growing, the father expects that he takes on responsibilities and continues the business.
Yeah, exactly. Take over, you know.
Yeah, take over.
On behalf.
Yeah. And that's what Prabhupada also expected. That's why Prabhupada emphasized so much always taking on responsibility. You know, not just chanting and everything, it's very good. But then what you do? You know? As I mentioned, Prabhupada got the instruction from his spiritual master to go and preach in English. You know? He could have remained very nicely in Vrindavan.
Yeah. His life was perfect.
Yeah, he was peaceful, highly respected and all this. But he left. And he went through so many difficulties. And when after a while, when the devotees were speaking with Srila Prabhupada about that, the difficulties he had in the beginning, and Prabhupada said that this was, what was that again? He expressed that this was bliss, but he had some very special terms. I remember the words. Yeah. Looking back, Prabhupada thought this was nectar.
Yeah.
All these challenges and difficulties and all that. Imagine Prabhupada came from Vrindavan, from India. And when Prabhupada moved into the apartment in Butler, of these people, he saw many things he never saw before. It says when the lady was cleaning with staubsauger, vacuum cleaner. He was saying, what is this?
But then later on, when the devotees started cleaning the temple room with a vacuum cleaner, Prabhupada said, no. And he took the rag and like this.
Yes. Prabhupada mentioned also that
Maharaja,
Kali Yuga.
sorry, we have to.
Yeah, Kali Yuga is the Yuga of machines.
Yes, yeah.
Machines.
And now they are even combining human beings with machines. And it's
IT was it? Yeah.
IT.
Making it more hellish. Everything. So-called advancement. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your tolerance.
Thank you that you are coming, and especially this time because you came yesterday, so we have the opportunity to hear you already this morning. Then this afternoon, if you don't mind to come in the temple room around 3 o'clock, 3:15, deity greeting will be. Then there will be a kirtan for about an hour, and then you speak. Then Gora Archik and Prasharam. And if you don't mind, at the end, I don't know what you're going to talk about this afternoon. Maybe you have a plan.
What do you want me to talk?
We don't have anything you feel is nice. Actually, this morning